Kaneohe Bay Drive. My parents bought a house on Kaneohe Bay Drive. It was right past the Aikahi fire station, just about a few doors down. And they bought this house because my tutu had been diagnosed with advanced cancer. And so my mother was going to bring her to live with us. And but she passed away like very shortly after that. She didn't even make it to live with us. It was that quick. So even before my tutu stuff arrived, in fact, right away in this house, activity started. And the first thing I noticed was I had an old school, that's what was popular back then. They were alarm clock radios. And the radios back then had knobs and a dial. So when you changed the channel, you could actually see it changing. And it would go in, when you were in between two channels, you'd hear all the static. And then as you change it, it'd start tuning in to the next channel. So that's what it sounded like. Kind of like, you know that Pink Floyd song, Wish You Were Here, where you can hear him change the dial? That's what it sounded like. But I didn't know that it was spirit activity to begin with. I'd have it on my channel, right? And then I'd leave or go where, whatever. I'd come home and it was on a different channel. And I always blamed my brother. You know, you were in my room. And he was always like, I wasn't in your room. Well, I saw it change. So he wasn't in my room. But also, too, I had this dresser in my room that had been in our family for a really long time. It was a tall dresser. I still have it. It's upstairs. And I used to put stuff on the top of this dresser. And like I'd put something up there and then I'd go to sleep and I'd wake up and the next morning it would be on the ground. Or I'd put it up there and I'd turn around and I'd be doing something in the closet and it would fall to the ground. And that happened all the time. It's like something was knocking it off. But that one was common. That happened a lot. But I wasn't the only one that stuff was happening to or around. My mom, she had this tremendous guilt about not being able to get her mom with us before she passed away. But, you know, I mean, it was 2 months from the time she was diagnosed to the time she passed away. So, you know, my mom had flown back and forth to the mainland and everything because my tutu was living on the mainland. She was in Mill Valley. And, you know, my mom was doing everything she could. So there was no reason for her to feel guilty. But she did. She felt this tremendous guilt. And one day she was inside her room and she's making her bed. And my parents' room was the closest to the street. And they kept their window closed because it was so noisy from the street noise. And so she was making her bed and she was really upset, talking to her mom, you know, asking her if she was upset with her. Are you angry with me? You know, I'm so sorry, you know. And then the curtain next to the closed window smacks her in the face. Just, she was like, oh. But it kind of became the joke because, you know, she was like, well, she could have been mad. She smacked me in the face with the curtain. She wasn't mad, but she had to show her that she was there. So slap your daughter in the face with the curtain. But at the same time, my mom heard a noise across from the bed, and on her nightstand, the other side of the bed, the alarm clock was up on the pivot, and it was turning, or up on the edge, and it was pivoting, and then it sat back down. So it was like, Mom, you're good. Tutu's good, She knows, But I think my mom carried that probably till the end of her life. But this house, I got to tell you the rest of this house. So the way the house was is from the street, you walk in, and a lot of houses on the Bay Drive, you walk in, and then they're on a slope. So instead of going upstairs, you would go down. And that's how our house was. We had a downstairs with a family room and my brother's room and bathroom and stuff. And that's where the TV was. So we'd watch TV downstairs. My mother, she'd fall asleep. And so we tried to wake her up. And if we couldn't wake her up, we just cover her with a blanket and turn off the TV and go to bed. So she was first just uncomfortable with being down there by herself. And then she started getting almost like panicky about being left down there. And we never heard this. My brother's room was right down there, and he never heard it. And I was upstairs. My dad was at the other end of the house upstairs. He and I never heard it. But my mom would get woken up because she could hear all this walking, like a bunch of people walking through the house. And it was so loud that it would wake her up from a dead sleep. But my brother never heard it, and he was downstairs too. So she was convinced that we had night marchers. And we could have. I don't know the history on the Bay Drive, but she was certain that this is what it was. But at the same time, there were so many other things that were happening in the house. Her and my brother both saw a dark figure by the stairs and that stopped and looked at them and then went down the stairs. We always, smelling flowers in that house was pretty common. You'd be nothing, and then all of a sudden it was like you were in a florist shop. The sliding screen door upstairs that frustrated everybody because everybody fought with this thing to get it open, and everybody swore at it, It just opened by itself. Just slide right open. So it was activity there, but my mother insisted that we had night marchers. And so the idea of her being left down there just terrified her because she'd wake up in the middle of the night and she was scared to death to come upstairs. So what she started doing was opening the front door and then opening the other door further down in the house so that they could come in and go out, which my dad was not, he didn't dig that. He didn't like that because you could see right into the house from the street, and it was the Bay Drive, so it was a busy street, right? And so the idea of leaving this door open all night, he didn't like that at all. But she insisted on it, and so that's what she would do. And one night, I think my mom was just really just looking for answers. Her mother had passed away. Uh, her brother had died, a freak accident with a gun when he was 12. And her father had passed away. So that was it. So I think she was just, or that was her immediate family. So I think she was just looking for answers, I guess, But the thing was, is she and my tutu, they were staunch Catholics. And the thing with my mom, though, is, what she was taught in her upbringing. And then having, a kid that picked up stuff, she believed me. Of course she believed me. But she was taught this. And so I think her trying to reconcile all of this while the spirit stuff is going on in the house and her mom just passing away, I think she was just really just trying to find her way. And one night she says, first thing she wanted to do was have a seance. And we were all just like, no. My brother, my dad, me, no, not doing it, no. Why do you want to have a seance to begin with? And none of us know how to do a seance. What are you, crazy? But looking for answers, right? And then so she says, all right, well, let's light some candles. And we're like, why? Why do you want to light candles? And she says, well, I heard that if you light candles and the flames turn blue, it means there's a spirit here. And we're like, there's spirits here. We know there's spirits here. We don't want to call any more of them, really? Why would we open ourselves up to that? But she was just always searching for, I guess the eternal question, right? What happens after we die? Are our loved ones around? So I think that's what the whole thing was. But the night marcher thing, I guess maybe I don't know how I would even research that. But she was just scared shitless on that one. So, yeah. Appreciate you guys watching. Please subscribe if you haven't. Aloha.